So right now, while you are watching this video, a millions of requests are flying through. So let's take an example of Netflix. What is happening? Some are streaming Breaking Bad right now. Some are requesting for payment. Some are requesting for the user info. So all these things are going through server. So what if the server is not created in such a way that it can handle all the requests? So in this video, we are going to talk about website architecture, which includes how modern websites are built, what is website architecture. We will be taking some examples, the core components, that is front end and back end, and some databases as well as the APIs, right? So let's start the video. So hey everyone, I am Aditya and you are watching Aditya Codeverse. Have you ever wondered how some apps handle millions of users while others cannot? You can write clean code all day, but if your architecture is broken, right, your app will eventually collapse. So how the modern website are built? So this one website, it can only handle 50k request or 50k load, right, at a certain time. But what if the user increases to 2.5 lakh? So after production, it increases to 2.5 lakhs. So how it will handle it? So we'll be talking about that thing also. How component communicate, how data flows, how you handle 100 user versus 100 million users. So these depends on the architecture, how you are building the architecture. So let's take an example of city planning. We have buildings. So consider this as a clean code, right? So we have buildings, and but if we have roads, water, power grid, these are the architecture. If we don't have proper roads, proper water supply, proper power grid, then the city will fail eventually, right? So these are some examples. You can pause the video and just write it down on some notebook or something. So let's talk about the core components, right? So first thing that we are going to talk about is front end. So this is the face of our app, right? So we usually use some tech stacks, right? One is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This is a foundational one. If you are a beginner, you must use it. And we have React, Vue, Angular. These are some modern framework. React is also called library. And then we have Next.js, Next for SSR, that is server side rendering, and for better SEO. Server side rendering, right? So it depends on the server to load the pages, not the client side. So what front end is usually? So it is a state management nightmare, you can say. So you have user authentication state. So what does it mean? So what user authentication state means? It means if user is logged in or not, right? What's their role? Are they admin? Are they HR or whatever they are, right? Are they guest or the user? Is the session are valid? These all things comes under the user authentication state. And in the real-time data updates, we talk about usually the stock price changing and new messages arriving when you're looking the old ones, like in the, if you talk about a comment section, right, in the Twitter or in X, you can say, when you are writing something and you got one notification that your friend write one comment also. So that real time update also done in the front end. Form validation, so the email format is correct, password strength, these all comes under the form validation. And then we have API error handling. So you might have seen 401 unauthorized, 500 server error, and 200. All these things come under the API error handling. And then we have some offline functionality, like some cache data that is stored in our local storage and show what available at that time and what needs internet. So for example, if we talk about offline functionality, so we have Spotify. So it continuously checks for your internet. If you are not online, then it will show your offline music, right? So let's take an example of Twitter or X. So it updates your feed in real time. It caches your tweets that you have seen already. It handles image upload. It handles infinite scroll. So these are some things that is done by the front end. And let's go to the next section, that is backend. So usually people choose Node.js and Express for input output heavy apps, and we use JavaScript and TypeScript languages there. And we have Django and Fast API for AI ML related task. We use Python, and then we have Spring Boot in which we use Java, and we have Laravel, that is PHP framework, right? The responsibility of backend is, so the backend is also called the brain, right? The responsibilities, one is authentication. We use JWT. Some tokens are assigned, and that will be used to verify from the backend. Logic, the data validation, the third party integration, the rate limiting. So if you talk about the authentication, so it verifies who you are. Are you a guest? You are an admin, and based on that, there are some responsibility given to you. And then we have business logic, like it calculates prices, discounts. If you talk about an e-commerce, there are some promo code or some discount codes that is done in the back. So we don't usually use client side for payment thing also, because it is like mutable, it can be changed. So the data validation, and then we have third party integration like payment gateways, email services, SMS things, and rate limiting, so that no one can abuse your website for anything. So there will be some attacks like DDoS, NDOS, something like that. For example, a person can request 50 requests per minute, but if a person uses some SQL injection or some attacks to increase it to 500 requests per minute, so it will just use your resources, right? And it won't benefit anyone. For that, we have applied 50 requests per minute. For example, you are a user and you are watching a product and you want to buy it. Payment validation will done here. There will be some check inventory. It will check if the product is available or not. It will apply the promo codes if you have some. Then it will send the confirmation emails and it will update recommendation algorithm. So you might have seen, after buying a product, there are similar type of product recommended by the Amazon because of this algorithm. So on moving on, we have databases. Databases are used to store the data. We have different type of databases, like first is SQL, that is relational database. We use tables here to store the data. So we have Postgres SQL, MySQL, and then we have structured data with relation, and we have a strong consistency, follows the asset property as well. And we use it for e-commerce banking. And we have another type of database, that is NoSQL, that uses the JSON format, like the key value pair. You might have seen something like that, name, code, like this. So we have key and we have pair. So these are the JSON. And then we have flexible schemas there. We usually use NoSQL for like social feeds and IoT type of projects. For example, we have Instagram. Instagram uses PostgreSQL for user accounts, and Cassandra, that is a NoSQL to store the images. And it also uses Redis to cache frequent data that is being used by the user. And the next thing that we are going to talk about is APIs. So these are the messenger. It means it works between you and the server or any third party thing, right? It will help you to communicate between them. It tells you how everything talks each other. So first we have REST API, that stands for representational state transfer API. So we have one client and we have one server, and the client will request some get, post, put, delete. These are some HTTP requests, right? So HTTP request defines the communication rules. So REST and HTTP are both different things. HTTP is used to define the communication rules. So for example, you are requesting some resources from this example, api.example.com, then resource, and it will go to the server, and the server will fetch something for you. This will be in the JSON response, JSON format. So similar to this, name Archana, age 40. This is one example. So we have different type of HTTP requests. One is get, put, post, delete, and so on. Another API that we are going to talk about is GraphQL. So this is flexible. You ask exactly what you need. For example, we have query user ID. We have given ID. We have given the name. We have post limit 5, title likes. So why we are using this? So for mobile apps, the bandwidth matters. You have user with this much of data, but you need only limited data of that user, so you narrow down the bandwidth so it can use only this much of bandwidth. And then we have gRPC, that is a binary protocol. Spotify uses it for microservice communication. For example, like in the REST we have this type of JSON, and in the gRPC we have this binary format. So in the next video, we'll be talking about some architectural pattern, that is monolithic, layered, monoservice, microservices, and serverless. So stay tuned for the next video, and I hope you like the video. So if you have any question, you can ask in the comment section, and do subscribe. Thank you.